All right, let's turn our attention to the January 6th hearings. We were talking about it earlier, and boy, the ratings have been like, right? They've been like off the charts.
Yes, for MSNBC and CNN, the networks that chose to run these, they have been a ratings boom. 3 million people at their peak have decided to watch these, whereas Fox is losing these time slots because Fox decided not to.
Right, and they're losing these time slots in some ways, and not in certain parts of prime time. But it's actually interesting to see how many people are focused on these January 6th hearings. They've done some during the day and then some at night. But a big question that has not been asked and has not been brought up during these January 6th hearings, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, of all people, to her credit, has actually raised the alarm bells on this issue. She tweeted this, and then she was out in front speaking on this, but she said, remember how there was tons of footage and evidence of officers and others inside on the 6th of January supporting insurrectionists. But then everyone decided it was too politically risky to investigate thoroughly, so they brushed it under the rug, and now we still have no idea who or what is safe. Now, joining us to talk about this and more is Larry Johnson, ex-CIA analyst. I want to get his take on all of this and why this is being kept quiet. But first, I want to play this soundbite from AOC on the footsteps of the Capitol, talking about this exact issue. Listen to her as she's approached by a reporter to talk about this. Watch.
These insurrectionists,
like Antifa,
and that there were actual officers working with this, and we never got to the bottom of that, and we never got any answers about that, and then to this day we're just supposed to pretend that that never happened. I have no idea what happened to the people on the inside who were very clearly sympathetic with what was going on and opening the doors wide open for that. And I'm supposed to sit here and pretend like none of that ever happened, and then right afterwards you have a massive, you just have this idea that throwing money at that problem is going to make it go away without any accountability. And so this is where these things are breaking down. We're not safe. And it's not just about members of Congress not being safe. The food staff workers aren't safe. The janitors aren't safe. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So you hear someone in the background yelling, well, you could burn some buildings down like Antifa or Black Lives Matter, and of course trying to get her to raise that up. But I think she raises a good point, right? As we watched this unfold on this show that afternoon, we did live coverage on the show, and we were watching, and we were saying, wait a minute, did that just happen? Did we literally see Capitol Police and other, who knows who they were, pulling back the barricades and allowing people into the Capitol building? People taking selfies.
Well, there were other videos.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
There were other videos that I've seen that completely have disappeared. Like, there were videos where, remember when we saw the people handing sticks out of the windows from inside? And then you can't find that video anymore.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Gone. Yeah, to even try to find video for tonight's show, to try to find it, good luck finding it.
Yeah.
Like, good luck finding this video. And this has not come up during the January 6th hearing. So ex-CIA analyst Larry Johnson is joining us right now to talk about this. Larry, what's your take on that? Why has this question not come up during the hearings?
It's real simple. If they dig into it, they're going to discover that the entire thing was a setup that was encouraged by the FBI. I mean, Ray Epps is the number one case in point. He's the poster child for this. Former, retired member of the Marine Corps, lives, I believe, in Arizona. They've got him on video, repeatedly on video, not just once, but multiple times, inciting the crowd, telling the crowd they needed to go into the Capitol, they needed to attack the Capitol.
Right.
And so when you've got someone like that who's out openly saying it, and then what has happened to him? Nothing. They put a 69-year-old grandmother with cancer into prison for 60 days just because she walked in the Capitol. The Ray Epps, who was literally encouraging and they got one scene of him at one of the police barriers where he's whispering in the ear of someone, and then the kid goes and actually attacks those police, and they get through there with force. But Epps should have been picked up, arrested, and charged if this was, in fact, if he was acting on his own. But he was not acting on his own. There is other ample evidence that there were undercover operatives placed in the crowd to try to incite and create this incident. What is fascinating, too, is the fact that you do have on the multiple videotapes where the police just have these people come in. They don't try at all to resist them. And the one guy, he's from my neck of the woods here in Florida, Jason, the guy wearing the buffalo headdress with the horns. When he comes strolling into the House chamber, there's a police officer, Capitol police officer with him. Just they're having sort of a pleasant chat, and the guy's just keeping tabs, make sure nobody does anything destructive. Despite the meme that the Democrats have tried to present, and some Republicans, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, that this was a violent crowd. It was not a violent crowd. They didn't kill anybody. The only person actually murdered that day was Ashley Babbitt, an Air Force veteran who was shot by a Capitol Hill policeman. And I'm a certified firearms instructor. That guy is a clown. He should never have a in his hands. You don't pull a gun and point it at somebody that is not posing a direct threat, an imminent threat to your life. Ashley Babbitt did not have a weapon in her hand. She had no means of causing him physical harm, yet he pulls a live firearm, points it at her, shoots her.
Yeah, through a wall, through a window, through a wall, through a barricade.
Through a window. She'd come through the window there.
Yeah.
I thought there was an officer who was suffocated and beaten.
That happened. Well,
Actually, the officer, one of them had a stroke. He died 2 days later. It was natural causes. And none of the officers that claimed that they were attacked or suffocated, in fact, were by the protesters. That was just, in fact, there's other video that's emerged, and Gateway Pundit's done a good job of publishing a lot of this, that shows the police. There's another woman, I think her name is Rachel. She was physically beaten, and she died. But they show them 3 or 4 of the Capitol cops surrounding her and just clubbing her, and then she suffered a heart attack and died.
So the Capitol Police question, Larry. I mean, she brings that up. She says, for us to just throw money at that, that's going to solve the problem.
Right.
It's a good question, right? I mean, so if you just throw money at the Capitol Police problem, is that going to solve what actually happened that day? People who were letting people in different doors, pulling back barricades.
Well, remember, Donald Trump contacted Nancy Pelosi and he said he was willing to send the National Guard there. Pelosi turned him down. She didn't want the National Guard up on Capitol Hill. I mean, that's a fact. So the fact that the Democrat leadership deliberately shied away from taking measures to defend the Capitol, gives more credence to the suggestion that they were complicit, at least in some measure, in allowing that to happen. It's not clear to what extent they were actively cooperating with the FBI and the Department of Justice. What we do know is that the intelligence warning that was passed to the Capitol Hill police made it very explicit that they expected the possibility of trouble the next day, and that precautions should have been taken, and were not.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if you remember, Clayton. I don't know if it was the following day or whatever, but I was skeptical when I was like, how did they get Time magazine quality photos of these people inside? It was they were perfectly posed with the flag out, and I was like, that alone made me skeptical.
Well, you had the photographers right alongside of them. They were standing side by side, walking right in. We saw the video, of course, of the Capitol Police taking selfies with some of them, and giving fist bumps and stuff as they were going in. And to Larry's point, they had this intelligence ahead of time, and they didn't do anything to stop it.
So, I mean, the social media framing of this is that those were just Trump supporters who were sympathetic to the cause of overturning the election, when in fact, what you are suggesting here is that it was more inside than just some sort of people expressing their politics who worked for the Capitol Police.
And what about the pipe bomb side of this, Larry? What about that angle? Where's the discussion about that?
That has gone away. We don't know who did it. They had some good film coverage of it, video coverage.
Right.
It was planted, I believe, at the DNC headquarters, which is just what is that? East of the Capitol. east of the House office buildings. So, that they've got the clear video of this guy and on a cell phone. The FBI and the Capitol Police, they all have the capability to gather phone records and then through triangulation figure out who was making calls at that time in that area. Now, if they've done that, they haven't released the results, but they certainly should have been able to find out who was calling and who that person was. And they're either hiding it deliberately or they didn't do the work.
I mean, there's a lot of hypocrisy around this, obviously, the focus on this and the fact that we still have not really had much discussion and we have not had condemnation from the White House on assassination attempts towards Supreme Court justices. And so, and the massive dragnet that unfolded on after January 6th, as you mentioned, arresting grandmothers and so forth. And yet we still don't know about the pipe bomb question. We still don't know about like the Capitol Police involvement in this, or the other police involvement, law enforcement involvement in it, and yet we have people showing up to Supreme Court justices' homes, and there's been no condemnation from the White House on this.
Well, and apart from the fact that many that literally they so-called trespassed on the people's house. How can people who are American citizens trespass on a house that is theirs? That's question number one. But more importantly, they've been held in prison without bond, some for more than a year and a half. This is the kind of treatment that the Soviets used to do to Jewish dissidents in the Soviet Union and would hold them without charge, hold them in the prisons, in the gulags. Now I've lived long enough to see the United States behaving like the old Soviet state, where we've got political prisoners. In fact, we have more political prisoners now in the United States than Russia holds. Russia has a total of 303. They're holding over 700 people just from this January 6th incident. And none of them killed, struck, or hit police. They went in, they trespassed on the building. It's just what's happened.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website, to stay connected with you for free.
That's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.